Welcome to Conversations for Our Time with the Quiet Sun team, John and George. This is podcast number 39. So, what a journey it's been. We have discussed many different topics. Some fall within our specialisms, some don't, but we, as human beings, we're endeavoring to adorn ourselves with as much knowledge as possible. We'll probably strip that away at some time. So it's quite an amazing kind of journey that I've been on myself. There's a lot of letting go and really kind of accepting where we are right now. And for all those who are listening out there, I know we haven't got like a great number of people that listen to the podcast, but it's not really important. I think, we're here to inspire people and to empower people as much as we can without coming from this place of kind of, patronizing people or whatever. But, I just wanted to set this down as like kind of a tone, because the reason me and George are actually doing this, well, I can't speak for George, but we've had conversations about this, is just because, you've got to express how you feel about the world. And I think when each individual starts to do that and really kind of tune in to their passion, their purpose, what we start to do is we start to strip away the veils that prevent us from growing and evolving. And certainly over the last couple of years, it's been a tough one for myself, because I've had to let go of a lot of stuff of trying to persuade people about things. And I had this conversation, well, this thing come up with my family last night, that I'm still known as a preacher. So and this comes from a place of love. It's not from arrogance. Well, sometimes it can come across as that, but that's something I've been working on a lot. And I got into I got shut down basically yesterday in a conversation with a family member. And it was quite hurtful, because when you don't feel like you're being heard, a lot of stuff comes up, a lot of trauma from the past. And you can slip into these old ways of thinking, especially this kind of like self-criticism. No, what am I doing wrong? But quite often when this situation happens, it's the other person projecting their own stuff onto you. So this is just for anyone out there that feels a bit isolated. It's part of the journey. It's part of our enlightenment to let go of these things, because, as Ramdas says, he'd rather be free than be right. And, it's great to be right because it does stuff for the ego. But does it really free us? Does it make us content or happy? I don't know. So this podcast is actually about letting go. Now, George will go into more detail about the specifics of this. But I thought that introduction was relevant to what we're going through. And as ever, we're going to apply this to the nature of things and how natural cycles and laws work. So, George, back from your travels, how you doing?
Hi, John. Great introduction. Yes, I'm doing amazing. Thank you very much. Yes, I'm back after 2 months. I really, recuperated, and I really focused on creating my online business. I've created, I am now, I've got a website, and I'm a spiritual life coach specializing in self-love and self-care, and I think it's very much needed in the world. It gave me the opportunity to go away and set this up, because I think it's very, very important. There is unfortunately a lack of self-love in the world, and we're not taught this in school. And at first I'm thinking it should be, and then I'm thinking no, it shouldn't be, because it's why we came here, to learn about ourselves, to learn about the self, and it would change the world if, if everybody or enough of us learnt self-love. It would change the world, and we would be connected to nature more. We would be connected to the environment more, and we would be connected to ourselves more and people, everything, because everything is the connection, everything is interconnected to one another. So it's given me the time to do that. And you're right, we don't have a lot of viewers, but it's not about that. It's not about that. It is, we're sharing our journey as well. And we've had to let go of a lot of things the last 2, 3 years. I feel on a personal journey that I have healed much in the last 2.5 years. And because of the shamanic plant medicines and all of that, it's given me the opportunity to heal that much that I can see where the healing is lacking in society. And I want to bring, it's been a quick transformation, if you ask me, for me personally. And I want to help people heal those aspects, of themselves, to bring in that self-love, open up that heart chakra, which basically is the key to absolutely everything. And it helps us to connect with nature. It helps us to heal our wounds, old wounds that will resurface from childhood, blocked emotions, traumas, erroneous belief structures, that all shape our lives, all of it. And the time is coming now where this information is really being circled and thrown out there, because this is not only the age of information, but the age of healing as we transition into the new sign. So, and when we do that, we are expressing ourselves. I'm beginning to express myself, or have been for a while, in ways that I've never really done before, which is what the self-love allows us to do. And then we find more of our purpose. And you will see in my own personal podcast, I literally cringe when I first started my own podcast, because I can see the ego mind very much out of control still. And that's from being awake from knowing about the government and all of this stuff. It doesn't necessarily make you awake. There's so many different levels. Being aware of the government agendas and all of that is a test from the universe. It's not necessarily conspiracy. I don't see it as conspiracy anymore. I see it, the universe is waking us up, and every different level that we must go through to know thyself and to be connected with ourselves. So as my own podcasts carry on, the ego has gone less and less and less. And I've still got work to do. So we don't mean to come across as preaching. This is not um, what we want to do. We want to help, basically, and letting the ego go. And it's ultimately when we find ourselves, we find the freedom, the freedom, instead of the imprisonment. I'm imprisoned mind. We create that ourselves. As you know, John, we create our own suffering in this world. And this is what the Buddha was teaching. When we can create our own suffering, we can create our own peace. So before I go into the podcast and what I want to talk about of Wu Wei, I just want you to add to that, John, because it is about letting go. And we're on our own individual journeys, and we're on our journey together. Um, and it is about letting go. What does letting go mean to you personally, John?
Yeah, George. Very well said, mate. Letting go. Well, you know, I always, or I have been for the past few years, been using analogies from nature. So I think letting go everyone is for everyone it's different. You know, there's different things we need to let go of. We need to do it in different ways. Um, and for me, I think of it, and we had a conversation about this yesterday. I think of letting go like when a deciduous tree, let's just say the famous oak tree of England, when autumn comes and light diminishes, temperature decreases, um, the tree will go into a hibernation mode. Okay, and basically all its energy goes into the roots, so its roots can grow throughout the autumn and the winter. And this is a way of protecting itself from the colder conditions. And what it does at this time, as most people would have noticed, is that the leaves go from green to yellow to brown. And when they get to that brown stage, they basically lost all their nitrogen, so it's just carbon, and they drop their leaves. Now, they don't need them anymore because there isn't enough light for effective photosynthesis. So the tree goes into this hibernation mode, it drops its leaves. So this dropping of the leaf is like we can apply this to habits that we have that are no longer useful as we go through our own cycle, as we mature, you know. So it can be seen as this letting go of unhelpful ways of thinking, of being, um, even people that you need to let go of in your life, you know. Now, when those leaves go down into the soil, into the earth, they decompose over the autumn and the winter and they feed the earth. And that earth, those nutrients from the leaves, the carbon and some of the trace nutrients, feed the soil. And as it rains, those nutrients go into the ground and feed the roots. They interact with the biology and the mycelium and they feed the roots. This allows the tree to conserve itself, conserve its energy, and when spring comes along, new leaves emerge. So the old leaves are these old habits, right? Or old ways of thinking. It takes time when we let go of those for new things to come into our lives, the new habits, the new ways of thinking, the new ways of how we want to be. And that allows the tree to grow stronger, to evolve. It's the same with us. You know, so nature is always teaching us. I hope that analogy was clear enough. Nature is always teaching us. But unless we let go of these things that aren't helpful, we don't have enough room in our being, in our essence, to be able to grow and evolve. So I think it's a beautiful analogy because it just means that we don't have to we don't have to beat ourselves up. We don't have to feel guilty. We don't have to go through all this should stuff. We should be doing this. We should be doing that. We need to go down into our gut, right? Our gut is our second brain. You know, why do we have a gut? Because we've got millions of neurons in our gut, which are sending signals to our brain all the time. And some of it is about eating. But you know, when you get that gut feeling, George, well, that's coming from the gut. You know, so we really have to start trusting that rather than, oh, I can't let go of this because I haven't got anything else to hold on to. So if I let go of this, I'm going to be empty, you know, and this, you know, I'm just describing my own experiences, and I'm sure other people probably feel this. And that's really important, you know, because it's like anything, a vessel can only contain so much information, knowledge, experience, trauma. And unless we let go of it, we're never going to change our vibration, change the frequency. So yeah, I'm sure you probably agree with some of that, George. Yeah, I'd like to know your thoughts on that as well.
For sure. I mean, yeah, everything is an analogy to nature. Everything is symbolic. Everything is allegorical. Life is an unfolding story. If we watch and observe, which is one of the principles of permaculture, you know, trees go into hibernation mode, animals go into hibernation mode. We humans go into hibernation mode. Um, and there's evidence of this in connection to the grand solar minimum when the food is not so abundant. You know, it is an unfolding allegorical story that nature is trying to show us. Um, and if we observe, we're able to see moment by moment of what life should really be. Once we let go, we have to let go of the old and allow for the new. And this is where we get stuck. This is where we create conflict in our minds. And this is where we create suffering. Sometimes it's not about conspiracies. It's about life showing us and the universe waking us up on different levels. And we find that it has always been us. It's always been the self mirroring out into the world. And this is why I love the concept Wu Wei. It's a wonderful philosophy. Um, it means not doing, but not in a new age sense. The deeper meaning to it is effortless action. Yeah, but recognizing the right moment to act. This is where wisdom comes in. This whole concept of Wu Wei comes from the Taoist philosophy. Obviously, the legendary ancient Chinese philosopher who was the author of Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu. He had some amazing quotes. All of these, all of these ancients and the wise ones, we really need to sit down and contemplate um, their sayings because it's truly remarkable. It's truly beautiful. Do your work, then step back. It's the only path to serenity. He who controls others may be powerful, but he who has mastered himself has mastered himself is mightier still. It is about conquering the self. It's about conquering the ego mind. Um, and this is where we humans fall short of, you know. Another beautiful quote I'm going to read from Lao Tzu. Life is a series of natural and spontaneous changes. Don't resist them, but only create sorrow. Let reality be reality. Let things flow naturally forward in whatever way they like. And this is what we do. We tend to control. We try to control our intentions. We try to control our manifestations. We try to control life. And this is the mistake that that we make. And sometimes we need to just simply get out of the way. Let things flow naturally. What is we cannot change what is happening in the present moment. There is no way of doing it, so it is pointless. Yeah, we have to go with the way or the Tao. The Tao being the path. It's not something that can be really described in words. The more we explain these kind of things, it loses its authenticity. It loses its meaning. Sometimes this is the case, but we can have a certain amount of understanding to it for our ego perspective. You know, it's the natural way of the universe. You know, the yin and yang in the universe that is within us is in our brain. The solar moon, the Solomon temple, being better versions of ourselves, you know, in an ethical, moral way, which is what natural law teaches. you know, in a non-preachy kind of way. But unfortunately, we have a society that doesn't really understand the difference between right and wrong. And if you closely observe that we live in a society, I think that right and wrong doesn't really matter, but it has everything to do with being in the flow of life and being in the flow of nature and natural law, becoming the best versions of ourselves. And also the art of sailing, instead of, you know, the art of rowing, we try to take too much control. It's about responding effortlessly to the needs of a situation. And I'm not talking about something like in an emergency. Of course, in an emergency, you need to act fast. I'm talking about life. I'm talking about everyday flowing with life, effortlessly surrendering to the natural order of the world, which is what brings peace. And ironically, letting go gives us control. Once we let go, everything is in balance in the present moment, and we allow life to unfold and allow life to show us, allow life to manifest our desires. Living in the present moment, we will become to know when to act and when not to act. And this is where the wisdom comes in. And this is what the ancients knew. All these philosophers, they knew this. And unfortunately, as a society, we have our ego that has taken over, and we try to change things. We try to change nature, and it's not the way to go. But the best time to live in the present moment generally is any time. But especially with nature, with using all your senses. You know, we can see the beautiful green, that is the balance of, is the color of balance. We can hear birds singing. We can take our shoes and socks off and do some grounding. All the negative electrons of the earth come into your feet, into your being. This is the most beautiful way to reduce your stress. It's stress management. You know, the Tao Te Ching has many references to water. This whole thing, everything that I'm talking about, you know, the many references to water that the Tao Te Ching has exemplifies everything that we're talking about, letting go, living in the moment, all of this, especially with water. You'll know when to be calm and when to use force. Look at water. Water knows, it has its own memory, it has its own beautiful molecules that you can change with your intentions. And I know you can add to that, John, but just quickly with regards to water, geologists call the process of canyon formation as down cutting. Down cutting occurs as river carves out a canyon, you know, or a valley, you know, cutting down into the earth and eroding away rock. And down cutting happens during flooding. This all happened in the Great Big Flood. It's a force. It's really a force of nature. And nature in general is the same thing. She is a creation. She is a destroyer, a very soft force and a very powerful force too. Lessons are harsh. This is why she has cycles. If we're not going to learn from these repeated mistakes within cycles that humanity have done in the past, we will be extinguished. We will be gone. And we have been extinct many times. And you see, these are the times that we really must observe nature and learn from her and see reality as it is in the present moment without preconceptions that come from the egoic mind. And the creator has another view. It always has, it does now, and it always will. And that view is oneness, it's balance, it's harmony, it's peace, it's love, it's bliss, it's all of these aspects of the creator. It's to know thyself and to find thyself in the chaotic world that we live in. It has to be that way because of humanity's collective consciousness that has created the chaos, but we are still here to find ourselves and letting go and finding who we truly are in the present moment where everything is already balanced, John.
Yeah, George. So this couple of things I wanted to kind of, you mentioned conspiracy a couple of times, and I think I've been through this a similar journey to you, that on one level we can see that there are people trying to conspire against you know the population of the planet. And me and Monica were having this conversation about this last night, and there are certain media outlets, and I'm talking of alternative media outlets, which basically say this person's doing it, this person's doing it, that person's doing it, like everyone's in on it. And that's just not how things work, in my opinion. And look, I'm in my 40s. I've hopefully got a lot of more experience to live. But not everyone knows. It's like a business, right? There are people at the top who know the ins and outs of the business. And there are people at the bottom, and I'm using these words in regards to a hierarchical system. There are people at the bottom that don't know anything about the company, and they don't want to know anything about the company. They are working for the company to earn money. That's it. That's what they're getting out of it. It's the same as these clubs, the UN, etc., etc., etc. Most people that work for them think they're either just earning money, or they think that they are trying to create value in the world. There are only a few people, because in order for a conspiracy to actually work, the less people that know about it, the better. Because a secret needs to be kept a secret. That's why you have the clubs. So I wanted to mention that, because I think it's really important that if we think there's more people involved in the conspiracy than there are, it becomes a disempowering thought. And as you said, on the other hand, if we see that all of this is part of our evolution, we cannot have light without darkness. We can't have good without evil. And even if you go behind all of that, go behind the elite, go behind everything, keep going behind, keep going back, you see equanimity. And equanimity is knowing that everything that is happening on this planet is necessary. And it will wake some people up, or let's put it another way, I don't believe anyone's awake. I believe people are awakening, but I don't think anyone's awake. And there are people that will go into a further state of fear or arrogance or ignorance, right? And they will look for people to blame for the problems that we see in the world. And this is part of the trickery. So as a person who is getting more and more into my consciousness, I'm starting to see where I'm being held up, what I need to let go of. And the majority of it, 99% of it, is the things that I think I know when I don't know. All I know is what I know, but I don't know whether it's 100% correct. I hope people will follow me on this, is because our minds play tricks on us, right? And sometimes we think that we're coming from our heart chakra, and really it's our ego. And there's nothing wrong with the ego. The ego serves as a, Ram Dass said, like, what is it? The ego is a great servant but a terrible master. We have to come from our heart, and our ego allows us to navigate in the world, but it's our heart that is the guide. So as you said, this do nothing, or is that if we come from our heart, it becomes more effortless because we're not in conflict. That's my understanding of it. So I think there's a long way to go in this. We're always evolving, and even the Buddha, right? See, most people have a misconception of the enlightened Buddha. The Buddha is the Buddha, Shakyamuni or Gautama, whatever you want to call him, is a representation for the potentiality of life, that you have to let go of all your attachments in order to become enlightened. It doesn't mean attachments aren't important. It just means that that things come and go and everything's in flux all the time. So you celebrate things while they're there and you appreciate and respect them. But when they leave, you allow them to leave. And that's part of that letting go. So it's a brilliant, way of seeing things. And I think I know when I'm in that flow state or Buddha state or Christ consciousness, whatever you want to call it, that's when you're connected to the source of everything. And that's when you're at the same vibration. So it's fascinating stuff, George. We're kind of coming to the end, so I don't know whether you wanted to close up. Anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, sure. We've got a few more minutes, so I'll just close on. I just wanted to add on to that. You're completely correct. All of these things, are the matrix trap. And if you want to get caught up in these things, it takes us away from learning about ourselves. But we have to really understand that we are that matrix. We are the whole lot. We are the self. And that duality has to be there, that light and dark, because there's so much growth that comes from it. And as I always say, if we sat here for trillions of years in a state of bliss, what would we learn? We would learn nothing. We've already done that. The soul wants to evolve and grow out of the darkness and into the light. This is what the soul is. It is light. It's pure light. And we awakening ourselves on different levels. Like there's always clues within the world, like the song, row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. And we have to awaken, and that's what we come here to do. And what we think we know, we have to drop all of that, like the Buddha said, we have to drop everything that we know, all of these beliefs, drop it on the floor, because we don't really know. And with that, there is the attachment, there is the suffering because of the ego mind, which gives us the potentiality of becoming enlightened. We have to realize that when we let go, letting go lets opportunities open up in the present moment. There are infinite realities in this present moment. Where do you want to go? What do you want? Allow it to unfold. It's about being one with yourself. It's about being one with the environment and the creator in the here and now. Doing this, all of this is going to allow you for a deeper inner peace and allowing life to happen for you rather than we have to start thinking that life is here for us. It's not against us. It's here for us. Instead of allowing those subconscious programs to take over, our wounds, our, our patterns within our subconscious, our erroneous belief structures, because all of that is created. But when we live in the present moment, we are overriding that and thinking consciously in the present moment with the creator, because that's what I am here means. I am means God. Here, in the present moment, God here. This is where we override all of those subconscious roles. And our ego can really get in the way of living our lives. It's time to let go of the fear, let go of the need to control, the stubbornness that we have, and to really understand that there is a greater force that exists beyond our human self that is way more powerful, intelligent, intricate than we are as human beings. There is a larger part of us that knows how to pave the way for all that we want and that we need. You know, it's about being righteous in the present moment and making the right choices. And we will feel the abundance of life where life can take us, you know, and allow life to take us when we let go.
Yeah, George. Exactly. I think that's a great way to end the podcast. Again, another good one. I mean, we're just delving deeper into the philosophy of life, you know. And we're both on the same page in regards to just nature is the best teacher. So we'll be continuing these podcasts. Georgie's back in the UK now. We've actually got quite a few cool things coming up. Autumn's coming. So this is actually a great time to start letting go of all those things that have got you down during this year. We're not out of the woods yet. There's a lot of stuff to come. I try to not get too much into the negative side of things and the fear mongering, but I think it's still important that we are aware of these things, and that we meditate on them, or whatever your kind of way of processing it is, so we can, all the problems in the world, there are always solutions. I'll give you a quick example before we shut up. Glyphosate, the most awful freaking pesticide ever created, that's used throughout the planet on our food in our agricultural zones, can be remediated by bacteria and fungi. Nature's amazing. So we are, in a great place to become enlightened. And enlightenment doesn't happen without suffering. So we have to go through this. So enjoy the journey, give love as much as you can, and don't take things personally. So thanks everyone for listening. Great way to finish the podcast, and we've got another good one coming up next time. Take care, everybody, and enjoy your hibernation period.
Thanks, everyone. See you next week.